Welcome to the Come Together Hub podcast. Today we're going to be talking about friends and family and recovery. I'm sat here with
Lisa.
and
John.
we're just going to start off. John, what's your experience?
Okay, so after 18 months of recovery, 2 weeks ago I lapsed, and within that, family and friends became aware that I'd lapsed because I'd changed my routines, my attitude, and within that lapse, they began to judge me, given the fact that I'd been in recovery for 18 months. And everyone was really, really happy, understandably. Once I'd relapsed, people began to judge. And they didn't judge me on my last 18 months of recovery. They judged me over the overall period of my addiction. This is the norm. This is what happens. He's going to go and do this, going to do that. And I felt straight away, though, I knew that they really, really loved me, but they couldn't help me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't be around judgmental people within that, because I still then had to find my recovery. And I wasn't going to find my recovery with people who were going to judge. And judge quite rightly, because they love you and they don't know how to help. And just previous to that, I gave up my activities within places like Come Together, where people with other recovering addicts. I gave up that, thinking maybe I can go it alone and stuff.
Yeah.
And the realisation is, weeks into it, I couldn't. I lapsed. And I've come back to my recovery with people, like-minded people who are also in recovery and who also struggle within recovery.
Yeah.
But I find that strength is there. It's not with the people who love me.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
your thoughts?
Definitely. I think with myself, I think, like you said, I think my family and friends, especially around my family, they didn't quite, as much as they wanted to help me and they could see, they didn't quite understand addiction. That I didn't mean to hurt them. That wasn't my intention. I didn't wake up one morning and think, I'm going to see what I can do to destroy my family today. I think they just often see my behaviour as bizarre, and didn't understand why I was acting the way I was and what I was doing. I think I'm fortunate enough now. I think my mother and my brother have come round to realise that, I have a problem with drugs and alcohol. And when I'm not using drugs and alcohol, I'm not a bad person. It's just when I'm caught up in that addiction, it's ruthless, isn't it? But yeah, just like Richard said, it's like you can't use them to fall back on. You have to, as much as they can understand and want to help, you have to look for people that are in the same boat. The people that understand, the people in Narcotics Anonymous through shared experience can help.
I mean, that is how I found Narcotics Anonymous. It was during one of my relapses where, because my issue was I'd stop using drugs and then I'd go along life thinking I was doing okay. And then as soon as something hit that I didn't, that I couldn't deal with it, whether that was memories of the past or different issues, then I'd struggle and I'd start to relapse on the drink and the cannabis or whatever, and then that would gradually escalate because I didn't know how to stop, and I got into that routine of using the drugs. And I've never really, something quite serious happened to me when I was the age of 17 to 27, so I lost a lot of contact with my family then due to the fact of I had to move away, because there was a big court case surrounding that and stuff, and I lost a lot of my support from my family then, I suppose, and they didn't understand when I would relapse. They'd say, you've got the kids to think about, you've got this to think about, you've got that to think about, and my intention wasn't to harm them, it was to take drugs for me to be able to handle life, to, make life better. And that's what they couldn't, and in the end it was, my behaviours was, I'd not used, heroin for a good, few years, But my behaviour was bad because I didn't know that the head was linked to, you know, being an addict and stuff like that. I knew nothing of that. And it was only, you know, I couldn't understand myself. So when my family are saying, why are you doing this again? Why are you doing this again? I couldn't understand it, you know, and they always seemed to judge me from years before when I was using heroin, I was at my lowest, you know, it was like, no, you're going to go back to that then. You don't understand what you're doing, you're going to go back to that. And then the stigma that, and then they'd all just fall out with me again, you know. So
don't you think that there's a big fear though around that you, when you first in addiction, or while you're fully blown into addiction, that you are on your own, you feel alone. Then you come to places, for me, like Come Together, and you know you're not alone, you're not the only one. And I think, you know, the fear factor for me in all of that, if I'd not found an organisation like this,
definitely,
I'd still been out there
definitely,
in addiction and thinking that there was no one out there like me or there to help me.
Same, because I know if I didn't come to here in NA, I still would be out there not understanding what I suffered with, thinking it was me that I had a problem.
And that's it. Even when they had started just speaking to someone in a group, or when you come to these groups, it unburdens your head, and we all have that crazy head where we overthink everything and, you know, scrutinise ourselves, I think, as well, and persecute ourselves enough. Do you know? So when somebody else does it, it's like, what they, you know, it's.
But I think equally, it's just as important that there's a lot of fun out there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You learn to laugh again.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's just at yourself sometimes. You do learn
and
to
I think
laugh.
that's the good thing, to be able to laugh at the addiction and the head and the different things, you know, that gets...
The whole experience.
Yeah, definitely. And without, like you said, the support and the... Because I could, like I say, I've always said this, I could put the drugs down, but life, you know, on life's terms, after I just didn't get and I couldn't do. But the programme and coming to different groups like this, it's just...
And I guess it also you learn that you're always going to be in recovery.
Yeah, that's it.
You know,
definitely.
Lifelong programme.
Yeah, and you know, and though that seems like a harsh thing that's ahead of you, it's not, because every day that you succeed in recovery, it's a pat on the back.
Yeah,
you know?
but do you know, it to me it's not, because it's like, it's something I was always missing in recovery, you know, to find the people who were, you know, wasn't using drugs, you know, and support networks of other addicts and stuff, and I never found that until I came here. I'd used other services to obviously come off the drugs, but then it was the life that I struggled with, and groups like this give me a chance to like speak and get used to myself again and being around people, because that's what I struggle with as well, you know, getting myself understood, and this head that tells me I feel stupid, you know.
It also learns you to develop that element of commitment again. So if you pick up with, you know, outreach work, voluntary work, might be an hour or two a week, but nevertheless it gives you something to look forward
I'm
to.
like the same as Lisa. Like, if I know, like, say, lifelong recovery, you know, it seems like a long time, but there's nowhere else I'd rather be. You know, with like-minded people who understand, who go through the same things, who understand what I'm going through, you know, and you've got that, you know, like the kind of...
camaraderie.
That's the word I'm looking for. You know, I don't want to be out there in the madness, you know, or in my own head. You know, I'm quite happy to be stuck here for life. There's worse places to be, isn't there?
Yeah. But I think it's a realisation that this has to come first,
Definitely,
isn't it? Above everything. But we'll leave it there. Thanks for listening, and we'll speak to you again soon.
And we're always here, guys, if you need help.
Yep.